Hello student. So after completion of the typical rib, let's see that is the atypical rib. So as you know, atypical rib, they are first, second, 10th, 11th and the 12th. So let's see that is the details of the first rib. So this is the first rib and this is the type of the atypical rib. Then let's see that is the features of the first rib. So the rib here, that is the anterior end and the posterior end. So the anterior end, it is larger and thicker than the other ribs and it is continuous with the first costal cartilage. Then that is the posterior end. So posterior end have the head, then the neck and the rounded, that the tubercle. So that is the head. So head, it is small and rounded and it articulates with the body of the first thoracic vertebra. The neck, it is rounded and directed laterally upwards and the backwards. Then the tubercle, it is large and it coincides with the angle of the rib and it articulates with the transverse process of the first thoracic vertebra to form the costo-transverse joint. Then the shaft. So this one. So the shaft has or that is also called the body. It has the two surfaces and the two borders. So the two surface, that is the upper surface and the lower surface. So the upper surface, it is marked by the two shallow grooves, this one, which are separated by here by the inner side or the inner border by the tubercle, that is called the scalene tubercle. So this one. Then the lower or the inferior surface. So the inferior surface, it is smooth and has no costal groove. Then the borders of the rib. So outer border, this one, and that is the inner border. So the outer border, it is convex, thick behind and thin on the front side. Then the medial border or the inner border, so it is concave, this one. After then, let's see that is the attachments related with that the first rib. So let's see that is the anterior to that the neck. So there are the four structures are present from medial to lateral side. So medially, that is the sympathetic chain, then next to it posterior intercostal vein, then the posterior intercostal artery and the first thoracic nerve. So this one, that is the four structure are present. Then superior to that the neck. So there is present the two structure, that is the deep cervical vessel and the eighth cervical nerve. After then, that is anterior to that the groove. So this one. So there is present on the superior surface, that is the subclavian vein, and posterior groove there is presence, that is the subclavian artery, and posterior to it presence of the lower trunk of the brachial plexus. Then the structure attached to that the remaining part of the upper surface. So the origin of the subclavius muscle, so this one, that should be present on the anterior end. Then the attachment of the costoclavicular ligament, so this one, green color, yet that should be present posterior to the costo, that is subclavius muscle. Then next to it, that is the insertion of the scalenus anterior, so this one. So it should be present on the scalenus tubercle. Then the insertion of the scalenus medius, it is on the elongated rough area behind the groove for the subclavian artery, so this. And the lower surface of the shaft, it is covered by the costal pleura and it is related with the lower border to the small first intercostal nerve. Then that is the outer border, so this one. It gives origin to the intercostal muscle and the upper part of the first digitation of the serratus anterior, so this one. Then the inner border, this one, it gives the attachment to the suprapleural membrane, and that is the tubercle, it gives the attachment to the lateral costo-transverse ligament. So these are the attachments related with that the first rib. After then, let's see that is the ossification. So the ossification of the first rib. So the first rib, it should be ossified from one primary center for the shaft and only two secondary centers, one for the head and the other for that is the tubercle. So secondary centers, they are developed about the 16 year and unite with the rest of the bone at the age of the 25 years. After then, let's see that is the ossification of the typical rib. So this one. So the typical rib, it ossify from the cartilage and it should be ossify from the one primary center and the three secondary centers. So the one primary center for the shaft and it is appears near that the angle and it is appear at the age of 8th week of the intrauterine life. And the three secondary centers, one for the head and the two for that the tubercle, and this center are appear at the age of the 16 year and unite with the rest of the bone at the age of the 25 years. So next to it, that is the second rib. So here the feature of the second rib, that is the length of the second rib, it is twice than the first rib, and the shaft, it is sharply curved like that of the first rib. Then the non-articular part of the tubercle, it is very much small and the angle, it is slightly and it is situated close to that the tubercle. So this one. Then the shaft has no twist and it has the outer surface and the inner surface. So that is the outer surface of the shaft, it is convex and faces more upwards than the outward. Then near its middle, it is marked by a prominent tubercle that is very much rough and large. This tubercle, it is the unique feature of the second rib. Then the inner surface. So the inner surface of the shaft, it is smooth and the concave and it faces more downwards than the inwards, and there is the short costal groove on the posterior part of this surface. Then the posterior part of the upper border has a distinct outer and the inner lip. So this is the outer lip, this is the inner lip. Then let's see that is the attachment. So this is the attachment of the second rib. So that is the rough tubercle on the outer surface, it gives the origin of the serratus anterior muscle. This one. Then the rough part of the upper border, it receives that is the insertion of the scalenus posterior. So this one. And posterior to it, it gives the insertion of the serratus posterior superior. So this one. So the 10th rib. So the 10th rib, it is closely resembles to that the typical rib, but it is shorter than the typical rib and it has only a single facet on the head. So in the typical rib, that is the two facets are present, but instead of that is the two facet, in the 10th rib, that is the single facet is present, and this single facet, it is attached with the body of the 10th thoracic vertebra. Remaining features, they are same like the typical rib. After then, let's say that is the 11th and the 12th rib. So here you can see that is the 11th and the 12th rib. So the 11th and the 12th rib, they are shorter and they have pointed ends. So here you can see that is the pointed head. The neck and the tubercles, they are absent, and the angle and the costal groove are poorly marked in the 11th rib and absent in the 12th rib. So that is the angle that should be very poorly marked into that the 11th rib and totally absent into that the 12th rib. After then, let's say that is the attachments related with that the 12th, 11th and the 12th rib. The side determination of the 12th rib. So its pointed anterior end, this one, that should be directed anterolaterally and its border end is posteromedially. Then its slightly concave surface, so this one, it faces inwards and upward, and its sharper border it is directed inferiorly. After then, let's say that is the attachments related with that the 12th rib. So near the tip it provides the attachments of the latissimus dorsi. So this one, that is the latissimus dorsi, and external oblique muscle that should be attached below to this muscle. Then its medial half it provide the attachment to that the erector spinae muscle. So this one, that is the erector spinae muscle. Then the inner surface, so that is an oblique line which crossing the middle of this surface marked by the pleural reflection. So this one. Then that is the lower part of the medial half, it provides the attachment of the quadratus lumborum. So here this one, that is the quadratus lumborum. Then the middle to fourth near to the upper border it provides attachment to the internal intercostal muscle. So this one, internal intercostal muscle, this. Then next to it, that is the upper part of the lateral 1/4 near to the tip, it provides the attachment of the diaphragm. So this one. Then close to the head it provides the attachment of the lumbocostal ligament. So here you can see that is the lumbocostal ligament, this one. Then the lateral arcuate ligament, this arch, it is attached to lateral to that the quadratus lumborum muscle. So this is the quadratus lumborum muscle, and lateral to it, this one, that ligament that is called the lateral arcuate ligament. So here you can see green color. So these are the attachments related with that the 12th rib. Then the ossification of the 11th and the 12th rib. So the 11th and 12th rib is ossified from the primary center, which is originate into that the shaft, and the one secondary center it is for the head. So these are the 11th and the 12th atypical ribs. So that is the clinical point related with that the ribs. So first clinical point, that is the cervical rib. So the costal element of the C7 vertebra, so that is the thoracic vertebra, and here that is the cervical vertebra. So the costal elements of the C7 vertebra may elongate to form a cervical rib in about 5% of the individual, and the condition may be unilateral or it may be bilateral side, and it occurs more often unilaterally and somewhat more into that the right side, and it occurs the pain along the medial side of the forearm and the hand, and disturbance in the circulation of the upper limb. Then next to it, that is the lumbar rib, or that is also called the gorilla rib. So it develops from the costal elements of the L1 or the first lumbar vertebra, and the incidence it is more common than the cervical rib, but it remains undiagnosed as it usually does not occur any symptoms. So after then, that is the fracture of the rib. So in fracture, that is, it is usually occurs into that the middle of the rib, and commonly fracture that should be occurs into that its angle, which is the weakest point of the rib. Then the flat chest, or that is called the stow in the chest. So in this, that is when the ribs are fractured on the two sides, that means that is anteriorly as well as at its angle. So here also fracture, and here in the angle that is also fracture should be occurs. The flail chest is occurs, and the flail segments of the ribs are stuck in during the inspiration and push out during the expiration, leading the clinical condition that is called the paradoxical respiration. So these are the clinical points which are related with that the ribs.